The Annie Altman Show podcast and other projects are field research for the Humani. Hey, it's Annie. Please check out and share the website, Patreon, and Etsy to help support these projects and my self-project. The Humani is a one-woman show about how no one ever fully figures out how to be a human being, how there's themes of the human being experience organized into 10 C words connected by the theme of connection, and how discussing these themes we all experience somehow is my best idea to contribute to minimizing unnecessary human suffering through maximizing resource equity. That was a lot of words. Maybe note when you hear the words connection, consciousness, choice, change, compassion, communication, community, creation, charge, curiosity, and/or courage in this episode. That's also a lot of words. Here's some more.
There are going to be times where there are going to be moments where someone does something that you're not going to be able to meet them with compassion. I have a meditation that I use. When something happens and I know that this might be an uncomfortable or might invoke something that's unpleasant, I always take a moment and say, am I reacting or am I responding? And a reaction isn't coming from a place of compassion. It is reacting to circumstances. It's usually driven by our ego. It's usually just that sort of, and sometimes that's necessary. We need to have a defense mechanism. When we're in danger, we need to react. You don't have time to wait a minute. Let me take a moment and take 10 breaths and respond. You know what I mean? There are moments for reaction.
Like a spotter, to be hands-on, to really kind of help them and know that like we are all working together to, one, keep you safe. That's number one. But also two, to help you be able to execute this skill and, and do it in a safe manner, but also you still get to experience that. Like that has been, and that's always like, it's so exhilarating to people. And it is funny how, when you bring people in and really try to make somebody feel safe, they're willing to push their boundaries a little bit more. And, that's just, it's just, I really enjoy that part. And it's just another part of like building that trust and building, a safety mindset and knowing that these people are, out for your, well-being, but also to help push you along a little bit.
You can't look at like things that what was it? The Maslow's
hierarchy of needs.
Hierarchy of needs. It's like you can't get to like the other tiers if your base tier isn't covered. It's like if you're not addressing your hunger pains, your lack of shelter, you can't think about like, oh, it's like I just need to be happy. It's hard, but still, I mean, there are people who still are, and I feel like it's because their attitude of being grateful is great. I feel like that's something that we've kind of forgotten about too. It's like just being happy for like the little things, like you're saying. It's like
I don't really care about much like raw food literature or like watching videos anymore or anything. I feel like I know what my specific body likes, and I kind of just listen to my body and my intuition over anything else. That's kind of with anything as far as like spirituality goes and my views. I don't feel very interested in like other people's opinions now very much.
You care more about your own mind-body connection.
Yeah, and for me, and I don't really care about my opinions for other people either.
Because you can't experience their mind-body connection.
Exactly.
I really resonate with that too, and then how to like be curious about other people's and learn from other people's journeys, and also really stay true to mine for that cliche of it. Like, okay, well, what do I want? What feels good to me?
For example, like training and learning birds. Like I'm a bird nerd. Like you learn about birds. Okay, you study birds.
I'm a bird nerd.
I am. Are you a bird nerd too?
No, I was repeating what you said because I liked the rhyme.
Yeah.
Birds are really cool.
They are. And so what you do is, you study about birds. That's training. You're training birds. Then you get to be able to, first of all, you're being able to identify them. So now you're more aware of your environment. You're starting to understand these different forms of life, which goes with our connection, may be even connected to understanding more of like that body history, right? Like, whoa, the parts of me that are birds, the physical part, because I believe I have many animals. I'm connected to many animals. And so now not only am I loving something externally, like the bird, I'm kind of getting all over myself because I'm getting excited, but let me slow down. It's cool. So you study birds, you train, you learn about birds. So now you can start to identify the different animals.
That was a learned thing. Like that was a actual thing that I had to learn based on my own traumas and my own upbringings. I had to actively learn how to be okay with the choices that I was making. Don't get it wrong, I'm very arrogant, so if I do something, it's because I want to do it, but sometimes I didn't feel good about it. Not because it was a bad thing, but because of the relationship that action would have with other people in other spaces. And it wasn't until I learned to love myself fully that I was able to have compassion for these spaces and things that I was doing that might not be the easiest thing or space for me to exist in. And I definitely learned that from my cousin. She's one of the most loving, spiritually sane human beings
I believe that healthy human emotions are actually pretty simple. It's when they get toxic that they get complicated. So those of us who grew up in toxic homes knew that there were an incredible number of rules. Love was conditional, and we had to tiptoe through the minefield of the rules in order to get to love. But we always ended up on one of the minefields. So everything was complicated, incredibly complicated. And the message you get is always, if you just get it all right, I will love you. And you believe it. How can you not? I'm your parent, I'm your mother, I'm your father, I love you. Often the most unloving parents say that. So it's...
I can't do it. I had a client that was like, I love making sandwiches. Can I do it while I make sandwiches? And I was like, well, you can do it in your meditation and you can make sandwiches. And she was like, wait, so I have to do it twice? And I was like, wait, so why would you have to feel how you wrote on a piece of paper that you wanted to, I didn't decide how you wanted to feel. You decided how you wanted to feel. Why would that be something that you have to do? And it's like such a clusterfuck to just get people on board with feeling how they want to feel. But it's that same story that you said of like, oh, well, I have to. And it becomes that good vibes only, or the only thing that makes me worthy is when I'm emotionally regulated 100% of the time. And that's not true. Nothing negates your worth or your identity or the validity of your desires. Nothing. But if you can feel like anything, why the fuck wouldn't you feel the way that you wanted to feel?
My own story and how it relates to anyone else's story, and how mental health can be all repairing in like every area of your existence. And I feel like for anyone listening, if you're afraid to be creative, and I know we talked a little bit about this before we started filming, and if you're afraid to figure out who you really are, like, if you think about it, what you're afraid of happening is already happening. Like, you're already not happy, or else you wouldn't be trying to figure out how to be happy. And so what's the worst thing that can happen? It stays the same. Well, it's not going to stay the same because you're doing something different. And so I would say take the chance, because 1.2 million people resonated with my story that I could have kept hidden my whole life. So you never know how impactful you can be. So do it.
more advanced shelters, and then more colonization, and then like more advancements and more weapons, and then like 150 years ago, like antiseptics and awesome medicine, and then everything, like think about our lives now is like super, super easy, but there's still that need for survival. So there's like, where do we put that fucking energy? If it's not physical, it's going to be mental. I think that's why working out feels so great. So like when you go through like a really hard workout, like whatever modality you choose, but a really hard one, I think that's why it feels so satisfying, is because we, like, this vessel that we have, this like structure of ligaments and bones and flesh and muscle tissue, like was made and evolved fighting other things for survival. And now it's like gotten more and more meta and more excuse me, granular.
Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end. Please check out theanniealtmanshow.com and also patreon.com/The Annie Altman Show if you're able and interested in donating $1 or more per month to these projects. Non-dollar ways to share value includes and is not limited to sharing anything, the podcast, any YouTube video, any blog post, any social media account, subscribing, following anywhere, rating or reviewing anything, sending any feedback or ideas, and or connecting me with people for the podcast or other projects you feel would enjoy this work. In my opinion, word of mouth is the only quote real advertising, so here I am using words from my mouth.